surprisingly, with Aiden English, considering how over Rusev Day was,
yeah,
because even when Lana came out during the Women's Royal Rumble, there was huge Rusev Day chants then. Aiden English came out to crickets. And, no one was chanting Rusev Day for Aiden English. I was just really surprised by that, because the act is so... Rusev is the over part of the act. But Aiden English is a really key component of that. I was very surprised that he just came out to absolute crickets.
Well, it's because Aiden English should have come out when Rusev was being beaten up. And then, this would be the save. He would have gone on a huge pop. It was bad placing. Number 23, Adam Cole. Another big surprise.
Taped up.
Yeah.
Just came because he'd been battered and bruised the night before. But again, really great showing from Adam Cole. Really, I was really happy with their NXT placements this year, because sometimes NXT guys can just come in and just be treated like complete jabronis.
Yeah.
But these guys came in and they hung. And it, what I loved, especially with Almas, because as soon as Almas was in there and he's tussling with people, I instantly was like, I can see him on the main roster. And he just looked like he fit with the main roster crew. Loved it. And I turned to my buddy and I was like, can you believe that Adam Cole is in the Royal Rumble?
It's weird.
It's so weird.
So Randy Orton came out next. I was also a big fan of the NXT stuff. However, I don't get the point of... So you only had 2 NXT people in here. But I don't get the point of having Almas and Cole when you could have had, Almas, definitely, but why not have Alistair or someone who can who will then next go on to challenge Almas, and then you have a little angle in the Rumble there.
Well, I assumed that was what Cole was there for. I assumed that's what they were going to set up, was Andrade Almas versus Adam Cole. But instead, Randy Orton came in, and then Almas went to do a diving move on him, obviously, RKO, and then Randy just eliminated Almas. So I was like, oh, I find that very surprising, because I genuinely would have thought that Adam Cole would have eliminated him.
Yeah, so the NXT guys were not hurt in the slightest. They really good showings, but it could have, you could have done it more effectively. It was a bit of a, for what is a very good Rumble, it was a bit of an oversight. 25, Titus O'Neil, because you need bodies.
You need bodies. Crickets, mate.
26, The Miz, who I actually thought had a good showing with his Miz Taraj. At one point he was chucked out, but
they literally...
Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas helped him back in.
Although, man alive, king of soft style. Those kicks that he was delivering.
He's never injured.
And he's never injured anyone.
Just don't ask him to catch you.
Apart from that. But if he's going to, if I was to take a kick off anyone in WWE, it would be The Miz. I would happily just sit there and just do what you do, because they will just be the lightest, air hitting you.
I would prefer to take kicks from Sasha Banks. Did you see the
kick she did on Lita?
Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
She was about a foot away, and then she started looking at who the next person is coming out. And she wasn't looking at where she was kicking. No. Really unprofessional.
Oh my God. Sasha didn't have a particularly great... We could go on to that, but those kicks were hysterical. So funny.
So number 27, the luckiest, statistically the luckiest spot in the Rumble, Rey Mysterio.
Booyaka. Reg Mysterio came in.
He looked great.
Did look great, and he got a better reaction than the last time he entered the Royal Rumble, in the number 30 spot. And I was another big surprise. Rey was not a name I would have thought would be in this Rumble.
Well, he was negotiating with TNA only a couple of weeks ago. He's got so many bookings elsewhere over the world. He was rumoured, but, he was one of those peripheral rumours that I much more thought a James Storm or a Bobby Lashley would turn up, not a Rey.
Yeah, I was very surprised by Rey, but it was really nice to see Rey, and he just looked great. He looked like he had an age today, and he moved around the ring so quickly.
So I wasn't a fan of Rey Mysterio's, the last few years in WWE. He didn't do anything.
He was barely there,
yeah,
because he just kept constantly getting injured.
And it was, I actively didn't like seeing him on TV either, especially with that number 30 in the 2015, 14, maybe, whichever one it was. But here, when he was in there and he was moving around, I was like, this is the Rey Mysterio I like.
Yeah.
And I actually wouldn't mind, when people say Rey Mysterio might come back, I'm like, I don't know what he can bring to WWE these days. Here, I completely eat those words. I thought he had a very good showing.
I just hope that, because from reports are saying that this was very much a one-shot deal, he was only in for this one appearance, so I'm hoping that if they are going to bring him in for a longer-term thing, that he just doesn't get saddled in either that cruiserweight division, or B, as the cruiserweight GM. What a waste of Mysterio that would be.
Hopefully it'll be the Hurricane.
No, mate, I'm telling you, I'm sticking with my pick that I said on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Spud, that's my prediction.
Number 28, the big dog.
Oh, the Roman Reigns. It's his yard, mate.
Loads of booze.
Reg eliminated Adam Cole before the big dog came out, and then Roman eliminated Titus, and then tried to eliminate Miz, but the Miz-Taraj pushed the Miz back in, and then Seth Rollins hit a curb stomp.
Yes.
A
really good curb stomp.
Very good
big
curb
pop.
stomp. Big pop to that. And then they did your favourite, the Shield Bomb, to the Miz.
Over the top rope.
Over the top rope. Nice little section there.
It was nice. But then we came to the first of the significant flaws.
We've only just hit... I would have thought the NXT thing was your first significant flaw.
No, because that was ultimately good. It just could have been better. This was stupid.
Which bit?
Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins are standing there. Roman Reigns then eliminates Seth Rollins, chucks him over the top rope. And for a moment there, I was like, that's really interesting. That's pretty damn cool. What does that mean? Is Roman Reigns getting a bit of like a heelish tendency? There was a bit in me at the moment where, did we just see a Roman Reigns heel turn?
Come on.
Is he finally getting his revenge? And all that stuff. But, whatever. But Seth Rollins then is shown on the outside, and he just looks back at Roman and smiles like, you scamp. I might have lost out on a WrestleMania main event title shot, but, oh man, it's just bants, isn't it? And Roman Reigns is looking back at him like, solid bants, got you, mate. Hey, whoa, Chinese burn. No, they shouldn't be doing this. And plus, like, even from a strategic sense, why doesn't Roman Reigns keep Seth Rollins around until the end? You can team up, and then you can face up. If it was like a truly brotherhood thing, you would work together to become the last two in the match, and then you would fight off there, and then decide who the better man is. But no, you just, like, threw out a massive tactical advantage just because you were a dick, and you're not going to make anything of the fact you were a dick because it's all friendly, competitive rivalry. That was really bad.
I liked it.
Why?
Because you get this spot in every single Royal Rumble where the tag team partner eliminates the other tag team partner.
And the other one's like, what the hell, bro?
Yeah, but like I like the fact that they've got this kind of like brotherhood thing of just like Seth Rollins was almost like, man, I should have seen that coming, but I didn't. And yeah, he should have been more disappointed. But like, I really like what they said on commentary about this because Corey Graves was just like Roman's being a dick, but I think it was actually Michael Cole said like, Seth would have done the exact same thing in the same position.
No, he wouldn't. No, he wouldn't, because Seth Rollins' whole journey is trying to repair those relationships after he turned on Roman Reigns.
No,
That's why when Reigns threw him out, it was like, that is really interesting, because it plays on when Seth Rollins did the same thing and broke up the Shield all those years ago. But you didn't, like, build anything of it. It was just like a cool, throwaway spot. Well, no, that's an actual real big character moment that should have happened. I thought it was a hugely unwise fit.
All the things in the Royal Rumble, I never thought this would get your goat up so much.
Well,
I thought it didn't bother me in the slightest.
And that's what happens when you stay up late and you're tired, disorientated. Watch it in the clarity of day in the morning. So next up, after Rollins was eliminated, we had 29 Goldust.
Goldie came in. Cool.
Ready for that
big last main event run that he's going to have. Yeah, absolutely. Just getting ready for that. The 29 roll.
And then the other.
Right. So this wound me up. This was, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, the most pointless thing in the entire show. I would almost argue.
I don't know. You didn't watch the pre-show. Are we discounting the pre-show?
Are you going to talk about Mojo Rawley?
I'm just the whole
pre-show.
The
the whole pre-show was filling time, but this was just. It's the most pointless thing all year long so far. Because the story, as number 30 was Dolph Ziggler. As the big surprise thing, they did the record scratch, and then his music played, and Dolph Ziggler came out, and the commentators are there going like, "Oh my God, Dolph Ziggler's back! I thought he'd retired." Blah 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 blah. Dolph Ziggler left. He relinquished the United States Championship, and everyone was like, "Okay, so we're building to Dolph he's gonna come back? Maybe he's gonna answer a United States Open challenge, declare himself as the true United States champion, and they'll build towards this champion versus champion match. Perhaps at a pay-per-view, give it, build it up so they can have a nice little match on a pay-per-view. But no, they just wasted his return here as a random entry into the Royal Rumble and he was eliminated immediately.
Well, he had 2 minutes of being on top and having a little run. But yeah, he was like the next person to be eliminated.
Well, yeah, he eliminated Goldust, and then Balor eliminated Dolph, and Dolph just walks to the back. And you're like, well, what was the point in that? Because now, if he does return to challenge Rude, that has no impact now. Not only that, but I really think that this kind of moment here just devalues the United States Championship. Because in character terms, what Dolph has done is said, I'm better than the United States Championship, and whoever has this championship is a joke, and I'm walking out on here. So now Bobby Roode, not only is he on the kickoff show in a 3-minute match with Mojo that no one was interested in, he's got a joke championship. This infuriated me. This was a completely pointless waste of time.
Yeah, and also
that was worth getting angry about.
It's the end of Dolph Ziggler for me. He's like, because I've always, even though he hasn't really done anything of note and he's been slotted into a certain position for a couple of years now, I was a big Dolph Ziggler fan before all that. And, you've got the hope in your back pocket. Now might be the time he's going to do something interesting. Now he might reinvent his character. It's taking a break. That's perfect. It's really interesting. What's he going to do next? He's relinquished the title. He's gone away for a month. When's he going to come back? How's he going to come back? And he comes back as if nothing's changed. And it's all the same. And he's just gone right back into the same position. I'm like, I'm done with you. Leave WWE.
He's got to go.
Because it's just, you're stuck there. And it's...
Yeah.
He
is damaged goods.
Real shame.
He is proper damaged goods at this point. And you're right, it is a real shame. And I know there was a lot of people, a lot of comments were left on our Royal Rumble prediction show. And I got a lot of messages from people on social media over the weekend. A lot of people thinking that Dolph was going to win the Rumble. And I never thought Dolph was in an arse's roar of winning the Royal Rumble. However, I'm super glad that he didn't either, because I was thinking every time I read that Dolph was going to win the Rumble, I was like, again, kind of that just devalues the United States Championship. It just makes anyone who goes after that belt seem like a complete chump.
Unless he wins the Rumble and then he goes, I don't want this either. And his whole gimmick is winning stuff and then just dropping it and being a super badass.
Perhaps that would be fine.
Someone else suggested the best thing to have done here to actually get some proper heat would be to play Daniel Bryan's
I've heard this, yeah. I think this was on Wrestling Observer Live. A lot of people suggest this.
Record scratch at Ziggler.
Yeah, that would have been great, because a lot of people, again... The heat would have been amazing as well, because you'd have heard Daniel Bryan's music hit as the number 30 spot. The music we wanted to hear in 2014, I'm going to say 2014, it might have been 2015, remember? I think it was 2014. That's the music we wanted to hear then. But yeah, that would have been a much better use of Dolph. But at the same time, I thought this was utterly pointless.
So once that was done, after a few more bits, we had the final 6. Yes?
Yes.
So you had Roman Reigns, Finn Balor and Shinsuke Nakamura on one side of the ring against the old guard of Orton, Cena, Mysterio on the other. And it was just this great visual of them both standing off. I watched it. I don't often do this on the days of reviews. I liked it so much, I went back and watched everything again from the final 6 to the end. Thought this was a spectacular end to a Rumble.
Okay, my one issue I took with this...
You said you had no issues.
I said I might find them when I walked... Well, then we recanted this. But this is a very minor thing, but they did put it together as just like, it's the new generation versus the old school, even though I'm pretty sure that some of them on this side are older than Randy Orton.
Yeah.
But like, that's the way they pitch it. It's the old guard versus the new generation. And what happened? The old guard stood tall. Like, they beat up all the new guys and like laid them all out with finishes. And I was like, oh well, these new guys should look a bit rubbish then, don't they?
I didn't feel that. I thought it was quite evenly matched. And then you had then it was Reigns and Cena going at it. Reigns eliminated Orton. Was it that way round?
Yeah, Roman eliminated Randy, and then Balor eliminated Reigns.
Which it's revenge for last year, where Orton eliminated Reigns.
Yes. So you have that, but at the same time, when you have that stare down, they didn't like have a clash, and then the new guys stood tall and then eliminated them. the old guys hit all their moves first and then got eliminated.
I didn't find that bad.
I think if you're gonna be pushing your new guys, that would have been a much better way to do it.
They eliminated them.
Yeah, eliminations don't mean much. I forgot the eliminations. I remembered that bit.
Okay. So Balor gets rid of Mysterio.
You were irrationally angry about Roman.
I was not irrational. Cena then points at the sign multiple times.
He was loving that. He was the only one who did it.
He was, but there was we make fun of the pointing at sign stuff, but there was one that was really good. We'll come on to it. I really liked it at least. So Reigns eliminated there. You both so Cena and Reigns have a stare down.
This was wonderful.
Crowd are chanting "You both suck," which was very fun. And then Balor and Nakamura had a standoff after that, and that was really good.
Yeah,
and that felt like a different kind of electricity. I see why it didn't go longer, but that's almost like my selfishness. I wanted it to go a bit longer. Finn Balor's stomp on Nakamura looked like it landed like just below the base of the neck.
Yeah, he got him good.
That was an awful looking thing. Balor runs wild for a bit, looks really good. So that's the thing, like Balor he certainly did. Got it all back at the end, so that's why I don't really mind that 6-on-6 spot.
I said it was a minor complaint.
And then Cena eliminates Balor to huge boos, and you're like, actually. So at the time, I was like, I wanted Balor and Nakamura to be the final two, but that by the end of the match, I completely shout old past Ollie down because it was paced perfectly to have Reigns and Cena, the company favourites, the people that the entire crowd did not want to see against the guy they did. Two guys who legitimately had very big chances of winning. Perfectly played.
I completely 100% agree, and I wrote this out on Twitter while I was watching it live, was that I wanted it to be Balor Nakamura as the final two. It's what I would have done in my fantasy booking, but the way that this played out was so perfect. Cena and Reigns were the perfect two guys to have in there with Nakamura because, as you said, they're the poster boys. They're the ones that are always in the merchandising. They're the ones that have been, quote-unquote, shoved down our throat. Big air quotes for podcast listeners, take a drink. It was just a perfect use of those two. And then when Nakamura eliminated Cena, and it was down to Nakamura and Roman, I was genuinely on the edge of my seat. Yeah. Because I thought, I was looking at the screen, I was watching this, I was like, I'm so sure that Nakamura is winning this. I'm so sure. But then I thought, it is the middle of the show. There is every chance that Roman could win this. It is Roman Reigns. The WWE do like him. And I was genuinely, nervous. And I haven't been this into the final two of a Royal Rumble for some years. This was perfect storytelling. I loved this so much.
Really agree. And Nakamura does his come on spot to Reigns. That was like a great stare down. And Nakamura then eliminated Reigns for the win. Nakamura, Royal Rumble winner, 9 months after debuting on the main roster. He's going to get to face AJ Styles at WrestleMania 34.
A dream match announced. And I loved this match so much. And I loved this finish in particular. From the final 6 onwards was just so good. And there were so many spots before that I really enjoyed as well. But the first thing that really came to my mind when I was just sat there in this really elated, happy state that Nakamura had won, I was thinking to myself, when was the last time we had a Royal Rumble finish where the crowd actually wanted to win, won?
Randy Orton last Roman Reigns the year before that.
Yeah, and Batista the year before that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Alberto Del Rio was pretty hot, but that was Santino. Everyone wanted Santino to win after that.
Well, yeah, but that was more... I think that Del Rio was the guy that people really wanted to win.
Let's have a look, actually. I'm going to do that really great thing where we look up match histories on the internet.
Did you just Google winners?
Maybe.
Yes, no. You did, yeah.
Yeah.
You got the
Here we go. So, Triple H was 2016.
Yep.
John Cena, Sheamus, Alberto Edge, 2010.
Yeah, I'd say it's either Edge or Del Rio. There's a 2010 or 2011 Rumble.
But we talked about this before the Rumble on Friday. The last really good Rumble was 2007.
Yeah.
Where The Undertaker won.
And that actually had a very similar conclusion, where it wasn't the last two guys wasn't a quick over the top. they had a big long match because like the final four, like the final six after the 30 hit, they had a long time in the ring, like where there was with no new entrants, which I really really liked, and it's a lot like the 2008 Rumble where essentially Taker and Shawn just had a long match.
Well, now the actual Rumble part's out of the way, let's get on with the bit everyone wants to hear, the pre-show. So you didn't watch the pre-show?
No, I did. I watched it live.
Oh, okay. Oh, so the lovely Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin.
It's my very first note I've got here.
Yeah.
I thought this was a wonderful little segment.
Really liked it.
Yeah, I really like this.
From Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan. Jason Jordan's being like, my dad's amazing, yada, yada, yada. And then they bump into Gable backstage. Jordan says, at one point, explaining their history to Shelton Benjamin, we were going to be world's greatest tag team.
Yeah.
And that was just such a good line.
My favourite was Gable saying like, oh yeah, me and Jordan used to be partners, but then he dumped me to go and have a singles career on Raw. How is that singles career going? Like tapping the tag team championship as he does it. Oh, it was a great little moment.
Gran Metalik, Lince Dorado and Kalisto beat Drew Gulak, Jack Gallagher and TJP.
In an empty arena match.
Yeah, pretty much. But what a spot with the triple moonsault
off nice.
Of the same turnbuckle to the outside.
So I've written here, empty arena match. I think this is Kalisto's speciality.
Then we had Kevin Owens, and this was my favourite.
Oh, you're literally just going to skip that? There was a...
Oh, yeah, well, I don't care about it.
Well, no, there was a spot in this match that I actually really enjoyed. There wasn't just the triple moonsaults. There was a moment when Jack Gallagher was on the ropes and he was kind of going around, but Drew was shouting to him, get down, no fly zone. And Jack just kept saying back, I know what I'm doing. I've got this. It's okay. And then he went off and he got hit by, I'm going to say Gran Metalik. I'm not sure who it was, but that's not the important bit. He got hit. And then when Jack went to go and make the tag to Drew Gulak, he loudly shouted, you were right.
Very
wonderful.
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn backstage.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
They answered the social media questions from Renee Young, and they were just making fun of people's spelling on social media.
It was perfect. They just kept picking out the ones with the worst spelling possible, and then just made fun of Pete Rosenberg.
Yes. So they wouldn't talk to Peter Rosenberg because Kevin Owens has got a thing on Twitter, like a Twitter feud with him. But when Kevin Owens says, is Jerry there? Is Jerry Lawler there? And Jerry goes, hi, Kevin. He's like, Jerry, how's it going? Like, they're all talking to Jerry, sucking up to him and completely ignoring Rosenberg. It's so weird. Like, WWE think, yeah, but Rosenberg's the guy you're meant to like here. And they're just being dastardly heels. No! They're, like, objectively the better people.
And it was also, this is the best that, like, essentially almost the best stuff that Kevin and Sammy have done. Like this was really where they felt like they were being Kevin and Sammy. It was all unscripted nonsense. It was just they were allowed to just be themselves. It wasn't, hey, say these lines in this way.
So next up, following their Raw 25 match, the Revival worked over Carl Anderson's leg for a while and then won. 50-50.
Yep.
And then we had Bobby Roode's US title open challenge.
Oh, was it Bobby Lashley?
No, it was not.
Was it Spud?
No.
Oh, was it the returning Dolph Ziggler?
I'm going to say it's better than all of those people you just suggested.
It was Cassius Ohno.
It was Mojo Rawley.
Oh.
And he is hyped. And it was fine. It was like 3 minutes.
Well, I've written here my notes, my extensive notes, which I took throughout. Bit of a letdown, ad break, Rude wins.
Yeah, so not much on the pre-show.
Yeah.
Like, it almost makes you ask, why have a pre-show for a 4-hour, 20-minute event, making it a 6-hour, 20-minute event? Surely 4 hours, 20 minutes is enough. So, the actual main card, I didn't give any pre-show star ratings. AJ Styles beat Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. We both predicted that correctly. I gave it 2.5 stars.
Yeah, okay. I thought this was quite a fun little match. I thought it was perfectly fine. Nice tagging in and out from Owens and Zayn, like just sort of dominating stuff. There was a really great spot when they did a monkey, like Kevin Owens did a monkey flip on AJ into a Hurricane Rana on Sami Zayn, which was just really, really great stuff. And
I don't know how he made his body go the other way mid-air. It's kind of like that Gordon Banks save in the 1970 World Cup.
And you've got like the calf crusher and then a blue thunderbomb for a good near fall, phenomenal forearm for another good near fall. And again, AJ just constantly spinning with that blue thunderbomb. Some really great forearm shots in this as well. But a finish that So when I did my SmackDown review a few weeks ago of the Usos versus Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable for the SmackDown Live Tag Team Championships, there was a moment when they'd pinned the Uso that wasn't the legal man. And a referee came down and said to the referee, "Here, look, you've actually, like, that was a wrong call. We need to restart this match." And they restarted the match, and then the Usos retained. And I said at the time, this is a very bad precedent to set because it makes all other decisions seem stupid, and it could make all other future choices seem stupid. And a lot of people said to me, it's like, well, they only did that because it was a championship match. Well, what was this?
I'm going to play devil's advocate. I don't like it either, but it plays into the unfairness of SmackDown Live at the moment. With Shane McMahon afterwards, Kevin Owens and Sammy were like, "Did you see that? Kevin, I wasn't the legal man. I'm Kevin Owens. I'm talking." And Shane says, "I did see it. Yep. I'm not going to do anything about it."
That is fine. The problem is that you've already set this up that this is something that can happen. And it wasn't like Shane...
So it means it's even more outrageous.
But Shane McMahon didn't send down that referee to restart the match. The referee made that decision on his own. So why wasn't there a referee that went down to let this official...
Shane McMahon stopped it from happening.
Do we?
Let's fill in some gaps
I was going to say you're very much playing devil's advocate here. I think it's problematic when you do things like this.
I thought this was a main event of SmackDown.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, a good main event of SmackDown. But yeah.
But it's on a pay-per-view, and I was never really a fan of the Zayn Owens handicap thing. I get the story why they did it. But I thought it would have been a better story, and it's confusing given the go-home angle where Owens is taken out and injured, that there was no real selling of Owens' leg here, and that didn't factor into the match story at all.
And there was no Shane O'Brien shenanigans at all, which I was very much surprised about. What I will say, though, it's the best match that AJ Styles and Kevin Owens have had.
Yeah, that's a good point. The Usos up next, retaining their tag team titles against Chad Gable and Shelton Benjamin, which, I thought we both...
No, you said American Beta would win.
American Beta would win. Damn it. So, you're one up there. I also gave this 2.5 stars.
It was... I mean, this was a match that would have been better if it didn't have the 2 out of 3 falls gimmick around it.
Completely.
Because the crowd just weren't into the first fall, because you know that there are potentially 2 more falls that will follow.
Although it was good stuff.
Really great stuff.
It was a good match, but it wasn't a good 2 out of 3 falls match, because we've seen that how much chemistry they have and how talented they are on all their short change matches on SmackDown. But they actually got 10 to 15 minutes here until the first fall. That would have been a good match, like nowhere near on the level of the New Day Usos program. But because, like you said, that first fall is utterly meaningless. Not utterly meaningless, but it's not as significant as the others. And the crowd didn't get into it as much. The near falls didn't mean as much. And then the Usos just got a clean sweep, getting the 2 falls, back-to-back pins. So they won, and it didn't go the usual. So all the drama that you wanted from those near falls didn't happen.
No, and it almost felt like the second fall was an accident, like how much it came out of nowhere. And but I mean, it wasn't. But I mean, I've literally written here, this is a real shame.
Yeah,
I was really disappointed with this
because we both thought this match could steal the show.
Yeah,
but they yet again they were shortchanged by a stipulation. I thought both stipulations of the SmackDown matches were unneeded.
Yeah.
Detracted from
the crowd just weren't really into it and stuff. Speaking of cricket, we then had Seth Rollins. Oh, no, do you want to talk about the...
I've given it 5 stars. The KFC Rumble.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch this.
It was just like a video package.
Well, I know,
but 3 minutes.
I was looking at Twitter. I was taking notes.
So, it was the KFC Rumble, which was loads of people dressed as Colonel Sanders.
Stealing Brian Zane's gimmick.
Yeah, and... Ric Flair came out at the end and tipped over Rusev Colonel, I think, a Miz Colonel maybe, and won.
Cool.
KFC looks too much like UFC. Kentucky Fighting Championship. Right, I didn't think it was awful. I actually got quite a kick out of seeing them all dressed up.
Can we now use my seamless segue that I'd created already? Yeah. Speaking of cricket, we then got Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan versus The Bar for the Raw Tag Team Championship. So
Champions Club.
Oh, whatever. So like, well, no, wasn't that the trio? They were called Champions Club.
Yeah, I just like saying it.
But the crowd were dead for this. But in all fairness, can you blame them? They just had this amazing finale to the Men's Royal Rumble match, a great match, all told an hour long. So they were just completely out of breath. They needed something to This was a buffer match.
They needed the Women's Rumble.
They needed a buffer match. They needed something here. But man, this was tough to watch because it went on for ages. And when you're watching a match that goes on for 15, maybe even 20 minutes,
it was 15.
Was it 15 minutes? They went 15 minutes. And there is no reaction whatsoever. The crowd are not interested. The commentators weren't interested. The commentators were so bored in this match. Michael Cole was dreadful. It was just really bad.
Yeah, I completely agree. But it's weird because the story was interesting.
Yeah.
Because the story was Jason Jordan was taken out early on by knocking his head onto the ring post. And he was acting concussed outside. But, he nobly waved off medical attention. So Seth Rollins is getting beaten up forever because it's a 2-on-1 situation. Jordan finally tags in. I really like this moment. Jordan gets in, starts to think about going on the offense, but then realises how disorientated and tags himself out and just gets out again. And it's a nice wrinkle, but it was just the wrong place on the card for this match. And it really shows how big a part the crowd are to how much you enjoy the match.
Absolutely, yeah.
Somewhere else, this could have been a 3.5 star. I don't know why I'm using the douchebag rating system. But yeah, it was very little reaction. And the Bar become new champions.
Yep, which we both predicted that they would do.
Yeah.
I can't believe you gave that 2 stars.
What, would you give it less?
I
like the Jordan stuff.
Yeah, but
I thought that was...
the match was much worse than a 2-star match. That's a Pacific Rim score.
Mm-hmm.
Also, during this, at one point, Seth Rollins hit his ripcord knee thing, King's Landing, Kingslayer, what the internet wants us to believe it's called. Michael Cole went, a knee.
A knee.
In that tone, in that monitor, he just went, a knee.
It's not even a definitive article anymore. It's a knee rather than the knee.
Yeah, a knee.
So next up we had Brock Lesnar versus Kane versus Braun Strowman.
In my least favourite feud of 2018 thus far.
In a weird match.
This was so bizarre. So the crowd actually kind of woke up a little bit for this because the crowd are super into Lesnar, they're super into Braun, not so much Kane. And when this match started, I thought, this is awesome. This is tremendous. It's just pure garbage wrestling. I was said in the prediction show, I wanted this to be the main event of SummerSlam, where it was just utter carnage throughout the screen. I just wanted it to be full of plunder and destruction around ringside, and you got that. But boy, howdy, was this sloppy. It was just... There was a point when there was a table set up in a corner, and Kane went to go throw Braun through the table. Kane sort of stopped, but Braun just threw himself through the table. And
the momentum.
And Michael Cole even said on commentary, I think Braun was expecting that.
It's weird because the sloppiness was a problem, but the sloppiness was also the coolest part about it. When Braun legitimately kneed Brock in the side of the head.
Didn't he just?
And the way they replayed it, and the way they played it up on Twitter, on commentary, I thought, are they doing the latest really intriguing thing for Brock?
No.
They went through that phase of, he actually legitimately knocked out Randy Orton. Did he have a fight backstage with Chris Jericho? What's going on with Goldberg? I thought, did they plan this stiff strike so then Brock Lesnar could act, because as you watch it, as soon as Brock stands up from that knee, which clobbers him right in the temple, he clocks Braun right in the face, right in the temple himself, with a real stiff punch. Probably not full force, because I assume Braun would go down. But enough where Strowman looked wobbly afterwards. Yeah,
they showed it in super slow-mo replay, and you could see things move, tendons and skin ripples and stuff like that. It was a stiff old shot. Braun Strowman and Brock Lesnar have had no luck in Royal Rumbles. Because when Lesnar was in the Royal Rumble a few years ago, not last year, I think it was the year before that, And he had the showdown with the Wyatt family, because that's when they were building towards Brock Lesnar, Bray Wyatt, and then they did Lesnar, Ambrose. They had a spot where he was kind of taking out the Wyatt family, and he went to do a knee on Strowman, and Strowman no-sold it. So Lesnar, it's so funny if you go back and watch it. Lesnar essentially stops, looks at him and goes like, oh, is this what we're doing then? And then just gives him the hardest knee that you possibly can in the corner, and just be like, mate, you're supposed to sell for me. And my favourite moment of that is when he's giving German suplexes to Luke Harper, and Luke Harper has this look on his face, is like, please eliminate me.
Yeah. Brock, angry Brock.
I want to go home. It was so funny. These two they can't connect at Royal Rumbles.
But I did, for a moment there, I was really intrigued and like, oh, is this how they're going to reset the No Mercy disappointment? Are they actually just going to beat each other up with management sanctioning it? But I don't know, it was just a mistake. But it's crazy, like, you forget how legit a fighter Brock is.
Oof.
Because he's clobbered, and then within seconds, he's already delivered the return punch. And I don't know, like, is that just a flash of anger? Is that an instinct thing? It happened too quickly to consciously think about it.
Yeah.
But, it was a bit... And Brock himself had to roll out, because I assume he was knocked a bit wobbly by the knee.
Well, I think he even said, like, I haven't gone back and watched the match, but someone said to me on Twitter that you can hear Lesnar shouting, slow down.
Really?
To Braun, because Braun was just like House of Fire, just going in and just like, dominating.
He was amped up.
It was the Jericho Shane McMahon thing from Survivor Series, where it was just slow the F down. And this match was just like sloppy carnage for 10 minutes, table breaks and all sorts of plunder and nonsense. And then Lesnar won.
So it's weird because I think this is the match Brock and Braun should have had at No Mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And they had it here, but it had Kane in. And Kane's just presence and the fact that the result was so predictable, Kane's getting pinned, just took me out of it. So
I really didn't care for this.
If you remove Kane from this feud entirely, even with the No Mercy match in the background, I think this could have been a good match.
Yeah, it really could have been. I really did not care for this at all.
I give it 2 stars. If you care. But now the
what would get a 1 star out of you?
Well, definitely not Melina versus Alicia Fox.
No,
that's a 5-star.
5-star classic, that mate.
I don't know. It would have to
best match ever according to Cameron.
If something's a 1 star, it has to like actively harm people, not injure them, but like be really detrimental booking wise.
This is the other side of it as well. Is that after the match, Braun was in the ring, almost like challenging Lesnar. It was like, you didn't pin me. And I suddenly thought, is this feud going to have to continue? I'd really rather it didn't.
I don't mind Braun and Brock. I just do it better. I think there's something there.
It's the 205 thing as well.
Do it better.
205 Live could be great. Just do it better.
Just do it better. The stuff's there. It's not like these two guys. It's not like Kevin Owens and AJ Styles who just don't work together. Just do it better.
What you say?
It's an open goal.
Hang on, you just said then that this is not like AJ and Kevin where you just kept putting them together and nothing happened. This is Brock and Brock and Braun, where we just keep putting them together and nothing's worked. Their segments haven't worked on Raw.
They're trying different things.
Nothing's worked in this feud since they've started this feud. The stuff leading into No Mercy.
Yeah,
like some of that stuff was quite good, but the match they had at No Mercy was very bad. And the stuff they've had in the lead up to this match has been very bad.
I blame Kane though.
Well, Braun was in a lot of it as well. And then the match itself I didn't think was much cop either. I think that these two, it's not working.
Okay. Well, I've still got hope in my back pocket. So the main event, which, when the men's rumble went on first, which I think is part of why I enjoyed it so much. I was only an hour into the Royal Rumble, well, not counting pre-show by that point, whereas usually when you watch the Rumble, you've watched 12 days of wrestling, WWE wrestling, of the same match over and over again. But because it came there, it was, it felt fresh. I was still excited.
I think you could have put that at the end of the show and you still would have had the same amount of excitement out of it. And hindsight being 2020, it should have gone on last.
I agree. Yeah.
Absolutely should have gone on last. I know you have the big reveal at the end of the Women's Royal Rumble match, but the match itself was all built around nostalgia, more or less, really. It felt like a nostalgia rumble because almost half of the entrants were nostalgia. excuse me, okay, so a third of them were, nostalgia or NXT entrants. And the crowd were very much like, they were a bit deflated. They were trying to get into it. They were actively trying to get excited for it. They would pop for entrances, but then just go instantly quiet again. And then would stand up so they could count, and then would just sit back down again. And I thought that was a real shame. But if you'd have put this earlier, if you'd have put this as the first Rumble, you'd have had a lot more excitement because it's the first Rumble you've seen. And then you would have had all the drama and excitement that you'd have got out of the men's Rumble when you got into that final 6. Particularly because you'd have ended it with Nakamura versus Roman Reigns. One man that people really want to win and one man that people really don't want to win. I think the men's Rumble should have gone on last.
I agree. I also think the women's Rumble should have been 20 people.
Yeah.
Just because, and we haven't talked about the women's Rumble match. I enjoyed it. Because, how can you not? It's got 11 surprise nostalgia returns. But then surely it's just a gimmick match.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a nostalgia battle royal.
Gimmick battle royal from WrestleMania.
Yeah, it's not like an actual Royal Rumble to crown the winner to, something significant and momentous. It's nostalgia. But if you only have 20... And the reason is that because the women's roster isn't as large as the men's roster. You've got, about... 20 people as opposed to over 100 male wrestlers.
Yeah.
So...
And this is why you shouldn't have women's tag belts either.
Yeah, and then you don't have to use every single person on your women's roster anyway, because some of them aren't up to scratch. Although, you can hide them in Rumbles. So you could have had a really good 20-person Rumble with only, 4 nostalgic returns rather than 11. Keep those 2 NXT cameos, because they were the best things in it for me. And then the rest is just the creme de la creme, or the most over, of your female performers on there at the moment. Don't use Tamina.
Are you trying to say that Tamina didn't have a great showing in this? Am I wrong? Is she the blandest person on the in the women's division?
I would probably put her there. I can't. No one else springs to mind. At least Sarah Logan. How's the divorce?
She likes gay meat.
Gay meat. So let's So I've given this 3 stars. And it's mainly because it was just so fun, and Asuka won, and the Ember Moon stuff. But the Stephanie McMahon comment, was really bad.
It was okay. So you saw the prediction show. You saw our reaction when we heard the news, when we did the news episode on it. I was fixing to just to hate Stephanie on commentary because I knew what it was going to be. It was just going to be corporate speak, historic, this, that, and the other. Just PR nonsense for an hour.
Not a heel character she should be.
Yeah, exactly. But we didn't get that. Nor did we get the heel character. We just got Stephanie saying things in as uninterested a manner as possible. She just said stuff. And it was never interesting stuff. It was never stuff that helped build the match. It was never stuff that helped build